Well, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you very much for joining me here live from another training center at l'EMM in the Montreal region. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to meet with us today to talk about the automotive aftermarket. And again, the role that we play at AIA Canada to support you and the industry. And what I really want to talk to you about first, before we have the introductions and meet up with the other people going to tell you a bit of the story in the automotive aftermarket, is ask you a first question about, do you actually know about the automotive industry? Do you understand how is it structured and how do you have to understand and comprehend that industry? And I always ask the question because you're going to come to realize that there are really two fundamental different components to the automotive industry. And the first one is the one that we all think about. It's the people who make the cars, the car manufacturers, the manufacturers of parts that goes in the assembly of a new car, the dealership network that sells the cars and do the maintenance and the repairs. And that's kind of the half of the automotive industry. There's the other half that we often don't think about and we often forget. And that's what we call the automotive aftermarket. And that's who we are and that's who we represent. And it's an equally important, if not larger contributor to opportunities for you in the future. Here's some statistics you want to look at. And the first one is to realize there are 100,000 people that works in the automotive aftermarket in the province of Quebec. That may come as a surprise. That's a large number of people, obviously more than the manufacturing of new cars or the sale of new cars. And the reason you have 100,000 people in the industry comes primarily because we have 5.7 million cars on Quebec roads. Lots of vehicle that requires maintenance and repair. But the other statistic you need to look at is that $7 billion that would contribute to the industry or to the economy. $7 billion, but also a contribution to the economy that is we call resilient. And that's something else I need to consider. We just came through the pandemic. We're talking about a recession and some difficulties around interest rate and all, concerns. And while we are affected by these things for sure, we are in fact an industry that's a lot more resilient. Why? Well, because we're an essential service. So during the pandemic, people continue to go to shops to repair the cars because, well, the doctors needed to get to work and get their car fixed. People who were working at a grocery store needed to get their car fixed, and that's why our industry remained, for the most part, open through the pandemic, despite being disrupted for sure, but open. The other aspect is, as the economy softened and the people concerned, what they're going to normally do is keep their cars longer. And as you probably could think about that is, people go to the dealership mostly when they have a new car and it's under warranty. But as the car gets older, they tend to mostly go to the aftermarket to get their car serviced. So once again, even though if you have a downturn in the economy, you'll see more people coming to the aftermarket because more people will choose to keep their car longer rather than buying a new car. So those are the fundamentals that you need to be aware of in looking at the two different components of the automotive industry and understanding the differences in the automotive aftermarket. It's comprised of almost 6,000 small and medium-sized businesses throughout the province. And I say small and medium-sized because while dealerships might be obvious to see, they're on Main Street, they're large, they're big, we don't always see or realize all the smaller operators that are comprised in the automotive aftermarket. That's something that's good too because those are great opportunities for you if you ever want to consider a career where you want to own your own business. You'd like to one day be that business operator. And those opportunities happens to be, mostly in the automotive aftermarket. Being mechanical sector, collision repair, or all the ancillary and connected suppliers in that supply chain. So you'll recognize some brands and logos here, some very well-known ones, but there's also some that you may have not seen before. And specifically when we think about supply of repair parts, you should know that while manufacturing of new car is really a Ontario business, that's where we make cars is in Ontario, The business of selling replacement parts is really a Quebec-based business. Many of the headquarters and opportunity that comes with it are actually located right here in the greater Montreal area. So pay notice, just take notice of all these logos because they come with a lot of opportunities in great businesses. But there's also the people that actually fixes the cars. And again, series of brands that you're probably going to recognize more. And those are great opportunities for you because they're the places where they fix all makes and models, are very much on the forefront, and are every single regions of Canada and every single regions of Quebec in providing those opportunities. So keep in mind of that. But there's also always collision repair also that you need to look at. Increasingly more technology challenged by all the technology in new cars and offering great opportunities in the automotive aftermarket as well. So let's say, you want to ask me the question, okay, that's great, but what are the challenges? Well, I have to be honest with you that, as an industry, we are challenged in the automotive aftermarket, specifically about the access to vehicle information. In an increasingly more complex and technology-driven industry, you're going to find that we are on the forefront in making sure you continue to have access to all the information you need to fix cars. And that's, falls under what we call the right to repair movement. And you probably heard about that, not just for automotive, but now for your cell phone or your washing machine. And it's the idea that we want to make sure there's regulations that will say to automakers, you need to continue to build cars that have standardized access and procedures and processes and a way to access the information. So it's not just a dealership that specializes in a specific brand who will have access to the information, but that aftermarket shop who services all makes and models continue to also have access to that information to fix cars. So that's one of the things we need to focus on for the future. Next comes electric and hybrid vehicle. You're going to find yourself, once you graduate from your program, challenged to continue to upskill, take courses, and get educated as you see new technology being incorporated in new cars. We're forecasting, at least Canada's goal is that in 2035, 100% of new cars sold would be electric. It's a tough, we're going to be servicing gas-powered vehicle for a long time, but it's really an acceleration of seeing more of these vehicles and properly be able to fix them as they're increasingly more computers on wheels. Will be a challenge for the aftermarket for sure. Also, all the technology around driver assistance, all the ADAS technology that prevents collision. All the vehicles you're seeing today are increasingly more autonomous, and they will continue to do so. And that means more software, more calibration, more flashing of vehicles, more diagnostic, and you're going to be called upon to make sure you continue to have the skills to be able to access and diagnose all of the challenges leading to those safety systems that really are there to save lives. So that's critical to our future to make sure we stay on top of that. And finally, labor challenges. And I think for you, in fact, this is the biggest opportunity. You couldn't be at the best time starting your journey in the automotive aftermarket or the automotive industry because there's truly a need for qualified technicians. As you pursue your education and graduates for the program, I could guarantee you, if you have the effort, the will, the passion, you will find plenty of people prepared to offer you great opportunities and jobs in our sector because we need you for sure. And that's going to continue to be a challenge for the years to come as well. So before I close, I'd like to also talk to you about something that we do at AIA, which is to provide you with money, scholarships. So we at the association continue to invest in you, and I would call upon you to reach out to your instructors or professors and ask about these opportunities to apply for scholarships. So if you're needing a little support, financial support, we're here as an association. Hopefully you apply and find a great opportunity through AIA to get a bit more fundings to support you in your journey, to continue your education and hopefully graduates from the program and find a rewarding job in the automotive aftermarket. So that's it for me. I hope you found this interesting. I'm now going to turn it over to the people that are with you live to basically give them a bit of their story, their journey in the automotive aftermarket, and hopefully inspire you to join us as well. So once again, thank you, and have a great end of the presentation. Thank you.